Okay, I'd like to take you through an example of some of the development I've been doing. So I've been working on building out an agentic product engineering team, and that team consists of 6 different agents: Jess, Simon, Matt, Angie, and Derek. So Jess is the product operations lead. She's our product manager. She basically runs the show and orchestrates all the work of the other agents. They're all kind of sub agents to her. Simon is the product director. He basically builds out the product one pager. And the product one pager is what drives a lot of the other artifacts that will be then developed. Those include the go-to-market plan that Matt will produce, the UX design plan that Angie will produce, and Angie will also produce lo-fi mock-ups and some hi-fi in Google Stitch. And then the blueprint architect plan from Derek, which basically explains how we're basically going to build it, what are the components and everything. And then lastly, we have the engineer, John, lead engineer, who is going to actually do the building. He's not going to be tied into this demo because I don't really want to build it right this moment. So the way they work is just kicks it off. Simon has to create the one pager. Once that exists, Matt, Angie, and Derek can all run in parallel, and then John could build it. All right. So let's get it started. So let's come in over here, and I'm going to start up Google's Agent Development Kit. So basically, this is going to be the interface and how I will talk to Jess and the team. So coming into this interface, I'm going to cut Jess, say hello, hi, close down this. So a couple things. So Jess is right now thinking, and she should properly greet. There is so she's got some information here. I do have a ops log here that she's basically logging all of her sort of interactions with. All right, so she can do these different things. Let's start by saying, Jess, list out all my projects. So I'm using WhisperFlow to do voice dictation. So she's going to go off and see which projects exist. Now, it should be these 3 projects: MoodLink, Tab Whisper, and VibeCheck. Those are the projects that I have defined. And sure enough, those are the projects and the one-pagers that exist and stuff. All right. Jess, remove project MoodLink. So she's going to do that. And actually, while she's doing that, let me fire up Google Stitch. Which is basically the projects that we have defined. And I'm going to actually come into, I had a version of this, but I'm going to delete this. Okay. Let's go back, see what you did. Okay, so Jess wants to confirm, make sure that, hey, you sure you want to delete MoodLink? Let's do it. Yep, delete. So what we should see is over here, MoodLink should disappear, and we should be left with just the other 2. She's confirming and executing the request. And there you have it, MoodLink is removed. Okay. Now what I'm going to have her do is I'm going to actually have her start up a staff meeting. And a staff meeting is basically what I'm calling the process of how basically I get projects created. So this is the entirety of my prompt: start a staff meeting for a new project called MoodLink. It's a social app for tracking shared emotional vibes. So first thing she does is, look, the MoodLink is created, and she's got an ops log here. Let's get a sense for what she's doing here. I'm going to move this slightly out. Okay, so I have received a request coordinating the team. You follow my orchestration in the ops log file. Brief validated, she's calling in the team. The brief validated is literally the validation of my one-line request there, what she wants to do. Is existing. All right, so go ahead and start it. Okay, so now what I expect her to do is now to kick off Simon, who's going to create the product one-pager. So what we should see is, if Simon gets started properly, a director's log MD file will be created, and there's that. So now we can see put over here, director's log. You can see now what he is doing. So he's going off looking at the UX frictions, looking at monetization, customer journey mapping, all this stuff. The way this basically works is I've given each one of them a specification of sort of what their roles and responsibilities are in these here. I've also given them templates of what I want to see in terms of the output from them. So he finished his go-to-market plan. So now we've kicked off the other three. So they're going to start doing their work. So if we come back to here, you can see the designer's log. Angie's begun her work. She's doing stuff. She's reading the template. Matt is doing his work. He's doing the go-to-market stuff, and Derek is doing his work, doing the product, doing the blueprint. So I'm actually going to watch Angie, because what I care about is when she starts defining, okay, so she's doing this, she's the user workflow, she's doing the lo-fi screen. So she's building out some screens here. So what we should see over here is that you're going to see a lo-fi directory get created, and she's going to start populating that. After which, she's going to come into Stitch, and she's going to start creating it in Stitch. But she hasn't done that yet, so kind of hop between these two. Plans are all in session. All right, so, here's the lo-fi directory, and she's basically building them out. And just to get a sense of what do these look like, this is sort of the lo-fi version that she's building out, just image files based on sort of what she's done. Here you can see that Derek is going and doing some searching for using Tivoli, searching the web to do his research. I'm guessing, yep, here's Matt. He had done his research when doing some go-to-market and stuff. So yeah, all three are basically running in parallel. They all seem to be running properly. If one thing I've noticed is that the Gemini models have timeout issues, where basically under a peak time, they basically time out and don't respond. So I had to implement a retry strategy for each one of them. So they basically have a back off strategy where they'll retry 3 times to basically finish completing their assignment and stuff. And basically their assignments are basically to create the different templated or the instantiated templates that what they're supposed to do. So Angie needs to create a design plan. Derek has to create a blueprint, architect blueprint. Matt has to create a go-to-market plan. And we can see that Simon has already created the one-pager. And the one-pager is a prerequisite for the other 3 to actually go. So what I do want to see is, let's go back to looking at this. Still doing these, doing the lo-fi wireframes. And I'm using, so for all the other models except for Simon, I'm using Claude Sonnet for the very reason that I don't want to hit the timeouts. And I seem to be hitting the timeouts with the other models a lot more than I was with Simon. So I kept Simon on the Gemini ones. On the weekends, I can have them all using Gemini. That seems fine. But the weekdays peak usage, I run into problems. All right, so let's just double check Stitch, see if it's, don't think it's created anything yet. No. Come back to here. Yeah. So this process takes about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so to kind of do all the artifacts and stuff. I'm actually looking at maybe running some local LLMs, getting the equipment to run some local LLMs so that I can offload it and maybe get some of this processing faster. But okay, Matt created his go-to-market plan, and actually, let me kind of check on Angie. Oh, she's going to the high. So let's take a look. There's the mood link. This is pretty cool. So here, she should begin creating the actual mockups. And there we go. Updating system design. Okay, so let's see what she creates. So this is using Google Stitch. She's basically taking the document that I provided. Now, one thing I've noticed is when I'm doing this recording, is it doesn't automatically update. Let me kind of refresh. Okay, here we go. Doing this, going to build out the full splash screens, mapping out the components, designing the final screen. Good. Okay, it is doing it live. Good. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why it doesn't. I have to keep refreshing it. But basically, you're going to build out sort of high fidelity version mockups of those same documents. And this mood link thing is just a one word and one sentence prompt. I don't really have a good idea of what this should look like or what it should do. I just kind of wanted to see what it would build if I gave this. Let's see. And let me just check. She is in the process of creating them. We'll refresh this just to make sure. Start by creating the shear components. This is the longest part, the mock-ups and stuff. Actually, well, this and actually sometimes the go-to-market plan takes a long time too. Although it looks like Derek is still working on the architect plan. So, yeah, I mean, maybe 5-10 minutes. It was pretty impressive, though, given how long this stuff would probably normally take if I was to do this through a real development team. So Dine says stay true to the mood link design. Yep, do all that stuff. Oh, I see the architect blueprint is done, so I'm just going to come back here and check. I'm expecting that this will come back. So the like I said, Jess has basically orchestrated the work of these other sub-agents. So she's basically waiting for Derek to kind of complete the document, and then she kind of marks it as fully completed. Come back to here. Creating any more screens? Okay, you are creating more screens. All right, so yeah, more screens are getting created, more mock-ups and stuff. You can see some activity here. Okay, architect blueprint is created. So she should see you come back here. They're completed and saved locally. Great. So all we're really waiting for is Angie to finish up. So let's see how long that takes. Oh, she's creating some more. Oh, there you go. She's actively creating it. Now, they are asking me questions which I could respond to in here. I do have this. I have actually kind of two different modes I can run this in. I can run it direct, where I can talk to Angie directly and say, Angie, these are the things I want you to do, and that's meant to be interactive. But since I'm running it through Jess, it's running as an orchestrated mode, which means that, hey, just do your best. Don't ask me questions because the founder, the user, is not going to be here to respond. So do your best to figure out what you need to do and stuff. All right, so I'm going to let those things finish. What I am going to show is some of the outputs and stuff. So let me start with the product one pager. Let me jump over to here. It's not complete yet. Or the product one page is complete. I'll just watch this bottom side. I'm going to shrink this down so we can see better. And if I look at the product one pager, here we go. Product one pager for MoodLink. Talks about the goal, the backstory, some targeted user and user stories, solutions and must-haves, what needs to be there, KPIs, what's out of scope. It does a quick look at the competitor landscape and differentiator, but the go-to-market plan does an even deeper one. Risks and assumptions, key timing constraints, and then a go-to-market for commercial projects only. So I can basically create this to say, hey, this is an experiment. I don't need to have a go-to-market plan. I don't need to have, a sales strategy or a marketing strategy here. If we do look at the go-to-market plan, got an ideal customer profile, some competitor positioning. We saw it making those queries over to Tivoli through this web search of stuff. This is the stuff it was basically looking up. Value proposition, how we're going to message this, how we're going to distribute it, sales and success motion, launch checklist, and then post-launch learning loop. And once again, this would only be here because I'm said it's a commercial, or it decided it was a commercial. In terms of the architect blueprint, executive summary strategic, what are the requirements? What has to be there? Non-functional requirements. So how does this thing have to behave? Which systems and stuff? Then it comes up with a system architecture, user devices, basically how are we building this thing? We're going to Supabase and some of the other services and stuff, using Stripe for payments, core application layer, async workers and background jobs, the data layer. Here's the technical stack it's recommending, the data architecture. I mean, this gets pretty darn detailed. I mean, this is why it takes a while. And here's some actual SQL code in terms of how we want to build this out. I mean, there is a lot to this thing. And this is off of a infrastructure and deployment, off of a template that I built out. Observability and testing, that was another thing I wanted to make sure it kind of thought about. Security and access control, obviously pretty critical. And then what were some of the trade-offs and deferred decisions? I see that she's still going. Let me just refresh this. So she's mocked out a couple different things, which we could take a look at. If I can zoom in right. So I think the way they, they basically build this thing is, the idea here, I think, is that, you've got an app on your phone and you can basically tell how you're feeling, and then you have your set of friends and tell them, they can also share how they're feeling and stuff. All right, so this is going to be coming up, ending soon, because she's got all that stuff done. Let me just check the designer, her log file. What was her last sort of update? She's generating the UX design document. Okay, so, and there it is. There's the UX design document. So if we come back to here, we should see that The staff meeting should be complete. Just need basically her to recognize, just to recognize that Angie has completed her work. Looks like did that. Okay, yep. And there we are, complete. Those are all the activities. And if we just want to see real quick, what is the UX design plan? You know, design vision, emotional goals, the target persona and design implication, key user flows, design system and tokens, screen inventory, artifact releases, artifact references, and design specifications. Also, I mean, once again, all based off of pretty simple prompt. So this is a rather long demo, but hopefully this gives you a pretty cool idea of good idea of the cool things I'm able to do so far. And you know, this is 1 month in, so I'm pretty excited about this whole thing. So I want to thank all of you guys for the time, and that's it. Talk to you later.